Hello, it is Tara from Sojourn Psychology, and once again, we are just checking in on mental health, Christmas, all these things. So Blue Christmas is a theme this year. There's a lot of people that I'm talking to who are feeling really quite blue. And so luckily, I'm wearing my Christmas mental health awareness shirt, which is Grinch, right? It's bad rap. But the thing about the Grinch is that he actually, to me, is such a symbol of mental health recovery. And what a great little testimony that if we don't realize that our heart is 2 sizes too small, we haven't really accessed into whatever it is that we can grow through to realize we're in the heart of love. So the spirit of the Grinch and mental health awareness and growing our hearts and all this theme of Blue Christmas, I really thought that it was good to check in on like how we do a little bit of a Christmas mental health checkup for ourselves. So some of the unfortunate signs or pains that people are sharing with me, and on some level I lament I've experienced or notice myself experiencing some of these things at some level. We're crispy. We're usually crispy heading into Christmas. We're just like ready for that break. We know it's coming, our body knows and everything, so there can be this buildup of stress, and we get too hustly and too bustly and too focused on things that are not important, which antagonizes some of the pains that we're going through. However, people are going through some very serious things. You know, it's been about 6 months since we really opened up from lockdowns, and so our bodies are still like recovering, and our bodies are really starting to have space to notice the trauma that we went through with lockdowns. I'm not going to talk about lockdowns the whole time, but it's a thing. If we're not being mindful of it, then we're not honoring that problem that we've been through. We're not accessing the uncomfortable feelings that still need to be cared for. On top of lockdowns, we've all been living our lives. We've been working too hard, perhaps. We've endured griefs and losses. We've had relationship struggles. Our kids have gone through difficult times, illnesses. So many people have been facing lots of colds and coughs. I mean, go figure, we haven't been out in the land of the living for 2 years, but still, it's frightening, it's difficult, it's stressful. And all of this stuff is piling up for us. And so it's okay to walk through some of the symptoms that are signaling to us that we're not doing very good. Something that people have been noticing with me is loss of joy. People are just having a hard time finding their joy. Things about Christmas that are usually joyful are hard for people to access. It's okay to have some balance with that. You don't have to put all your Christmas decorations out this year if you're just feeling a little bit lower on the joy scale. However, celebrating is a good way to try and muster up some joy. So if we put out the decorations or we do these different things, maybe we'll find our footing, or maybe we can step into Christmas, as a wise man once said. Low energy. A lot of people noticing low energy this time of year, actually this fall. Lots of burnt out people are sitting on my couch. Lots of burnt out people I'm talking to, lots of colleagues that I'm talking to, we're lamenting. We're tired. People are really tired, low energy. And with that as well, restlessness, difficulty sleeping is another thing. People are complaining of onset insomnia, maintenance insomnia, so hard time falling asleep, hard time maintaining or staying asleep. It's a difficult time of year. And when we look at low energy and sleep difficulties, you know, you might look at some sort of medicinal help for that. Personally, I prefer naturopathic things as a frontline resource, and then potentially medicine. But some like melatonin or these different things that people might look into to just like help maintain some sleep. Sleep's really important. What time are you going to bed? Do you have a bedtime? Do you have a bedtime routine? In times of stress, we want to sink into our routine, and Christmas is definitely a stressful time of year. But with everything that we've been going through and how it's impacted you personally or me personally, has it impacted your bedtime? And if it has, maybe that's something to just be thoughtful about. Is this something that I can work on to help myself feel better? Exercise. Exercise is hard in the winter in Alberta, especially if you're an outdoor exerciser. But exercise is something to be mindful of if you have some goals you can set up. If you don't, if you're feeling so low motivation, lack of joy, just put it on the back burner, something to be mindful of, making a plan so that when I can, I will. Another thing that people are noticing a lot of is anxiety. Like I'm kind of hinting at it all the way through. But anxiety, increased heart rates at times, fear of mistakes that have been made, racing thoughts, worry, overwhelm, all of these symptoms of anxiety, tummy aches, difficulty digesting food, all of that can be parts of anxiety. But usually what gets us most distressed about anxiety is like the racing heart and the racing thoughts. My cliche but powerfully true resource: take a meeting with yourself. Sit down, find a sticky note. Big fan of sticky notes, love them. Sticky note, write down a list of some things to do. Measurable and manageable goals, one foot in front of the other. We do what we can as we can. And realistic expectations. So I know for myself, my son's birthday is coming up. I had a grandiose idea of something special I could do. I didn't order Pikachus to put on his cupcakes. So I'm not going to put Pikachus on his cupcakes. I got a good plan B. I'm taking that pressure off of myself, and I'm not going to sit under the anxiety of being overwhelmed and not planning ahead because I was living one day at a time, just being in a stressful fall with everybody else. So we can have a plan, and if that plan is not going to work, we can change the plan. Another thing that people are really noticing is just sort of like a sadness and tearfulness. I have a lot more people noticing that they've been crying more easily, so this is something that we want to keep an eye on. Just a real shift in sadness, sorrow, and sadness responses, because that could be depression. But if we're in a state of overwhelm, we're feeling a little bit burnt out or a lot burnt out. Okay, so that's another thing. Some of us are actually just really, really burnt out. Sadness, tearfulness, low energy, difficulty sleeping, waking, all that. I mean, that could be some signals of depression. Our body senses signals. We want to take them very seriously. But if you're sad and tearful, make time to be sad and tearful. If we've been bottling up our emotion, if we've been overdoing or overwhelming, if we've been white knuckling it until Christmas vacation, there's potential that there's some thwarted emotion, sadness, anger, grief. And when the tears come, for me, when the tears come, I let them come. If I think of, what's his name? Louis C.K. And he's kind of irreverent, but there's this great comedic thing he does on the Conan O'Brien show. It's called Louis C.K. Hates Cell Phones. It's on YouTube. But he talks about a song coming on the radio, and it's just like, it evokes and hit deep emotion. And he says he's driving and he's feeling this song, and all of a sudden the emotion just takes over, and he has to pull over to the side of the road and feel the feelings. That's a lot of what I'm talking about. Our emotions come and go. We just don't serve them tea. It's like a beautiful, I think, Buddhist proverb. The other thing we know is like our emotions are like waves on the ocean. Just ride them. If sadness is showing up and you have space to be sad, be sad. Let's let our emotion move through us. Freud will say if we don't allow anger to come out, it's going to come out sideways, some other way. Same with sadness, same with any other emotion. We don't want to thwart our joy. We don't want to thwart anything, good, bad. We want to express. Another really easy catalyst to muster up some of the sadness if you need a bit of a space to be sad is Christmas movies. They're sentimental. Watch a Hallmark movie, there'll be a tear spot, and that might just be a good little release. So the main themes that I'm seeing with clients is, and this is just to be mindful of each other, is stress, lots of grief going on right now, and then lots of people who've just been powering through, coping with their uncomfortable emotions by overdoing, overcompensating. And so there's a lot of people out there that are really not doing well. There's a lot of sad people, there's unfortunate losses, and then we're coming into Christmas, and so it's hard and it's sad to miss people that aren't with us. or animals, or homes, or seasons of life. So that sadness in others, people having overdone it and being very stressed out, people powering through and being very anxious. So something that we can do for each other is authentically listen, bravely listen. So if you ask somebody how they're doing, actually listen. So like, there's so much we could say about that question. How are you doing? People say it to fill air space. How are you doing? If you're gonna check in on somebody, make sure you have the space to have a conversation. Scheduling some time or making efforts to do some phone calls, some Zooms, popping by, dropping off gifts, balancing what you can do to be with other people and at the same time take care of yourself and your little cohort family, whatever that might look like. But if we're going to reach out and be available for somebody to check in, how are you doing? Really? So if you're going to have that conversation, how are you doing? Really? Then make sure you have space to hold whatever this person might need you to hold with them. We don't have to fix anything. A great response to shitty circumstances is that shitty. Yeah, that's a lot, hey? So we don't have to fix anything. Apathy, I find that a lot of people, and it goes in waves for myself, I lament, I identify, there's a bit of apathy. I think that because of everything we've gone through, and we've gone through so much in the past couple of years globally, there's a heightened awareness of feeling let down by other people. You know, that it was really hard what we've endured, and somebody had to be in charge and call the shots. And I mean, I don't know what I would have done if I was in charge. But there's this apathy towards people and an increased sense of feeling let down, just because I think we're so emotionally overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So, a few tips. One, take yourself seriously. That's just it. Take yourself seriously. It's okay to notice whatever flavor of difficulty, alone, of emotional instability, of numb, of whatever it is going on for you. Take yourself seriously. Realistic expectations. Realistic expectations with Christmas. So when I think of unrealistic expectations, I think by the time I was 25 years old, I don't even know how many Christmases I actually spent in my own home. It's like, don't burn yourself out or your children over Christmas. You can have realistic expectations and do what's best for you and your little cohort. This is a spiritual time of year. It's not about meeting everybody else's expectations. It's about taking care of your heart, which belongs to a higher purpose. There is a reason for this season. There's a reason that we slow down at certain points at the time of year, especially with the Christian calendar. So, not to get all preachy, but because I do love my Christianity, I do love Jesus. This is the beginning of the Christian year. We started it with Advent, and we're all in a space of new hope. All right? And new hope is the reason for this season. This is a time to explore our existential beliefs and promote existential shifts for ourselves. Okay, there we go. It gets all fancy. But realistic expectations. What can you do to carve out some space to sink into this newness, moving into this new space, this new season? And what is my hope and my purpose for my coming year and for my people? What legacy do I want them to see in my life this Christmas to help them have legacy in their coming year? Find your self some space to connect with others, whatever that is. If you want to go walk through the mall because that feels like cozy Christmassy, if that feels nostalgic, if you want to go skating or there's some other practice, Swiss Chalet, festive Christmas dinner. I just moment of silence, obviously for me, but Swiss Chalet people, that's, to me, oh man, that does something for me with some of my other mental health pieces. But I also, like, in keeping with the reason for the season and hope for the coming year, find yourself a faith center, whatever that might be, and connect in. find a place of sanctuary and solitude and calmness and silence, and take a moment to connect in. Our kids go to the Catholic school. We're not practicing Catholics. And so their Christmas concert is at the Catholic church. Well, I'm really looking forward to being in that space, because that space, even though it's not my space, it's not a space I was raised in, I'm going to feel good in there. I'm going to feel at peace. If a church is, or a temple or something like that is not a safe faith place for you, find some other place that feels spiritual. Go to the Mutard Conservatory, be around the plants, the poinsettia exhibit. Go to Glow Edmonton. Now these things cost money. There's places we can find that do not cost money, but trying to create some place to anchor in to our hope and our purpose and our future for the coming year. That's really the reason of Christmas, and it's really good for our mental health. Number 4, biggest thing, rest, not rush. The Naked Pastor shared a comic, and it's Santa talking to Jesus, and Santa's lamenting, and I will paraphrase because I didn't memorize it, to the effect of like, you have no idea what it's like to create a season of giving and love and have it be demonstrably changed into something commercial. And Jesus is just like sipping his wine, as he should. But it is not about consumerism. It's not about rushing to meet everybody else's needs and being the hostess with the mostest and all this crap. It's about connecting with ourselves and with our family cohort and finding some peace and some rest. Rest, not rush. Number 5, I do have notes here and I can't read this one. Okay. Do what you can as you can. I had it written funny. Do what you can as you can. So it's, again, measurable and manageable goals. What can I do? What am I capable of? What am I willing for? And how can I step into just that? If you expect yourself to make an eggs benny for Christmas brunch and you don't have it in you, you can do something else. You can make a crustless quiche, you can hard-boiled eggs and serve toast. Like, do what you can as you can, because it really is about being with people. Angela's Christmas on Netflix is such a sweet little cartoon, and this little family is in such poverty and she's so enduring. If you haven't watched it, watch it. She's a little cheeky and she's a little bit of a thief, but you see in poverty what the meaning of family really is. And so finding some of those symbols and those reminders, do what you can as you can. Like in the Depression, my grandma got an orange for Christmas Eve, and she would tell this story about the most amazing orange she would get every Christmas, and how meaningful and tradition and what that meant about family and coming together about an orange. And I'm in such a place in my life that I take for granted a Christmas orange. I have some in my fridge. I haven't even had one yet this year. Perspective. How are we looking at what's going on, and how are we doing what we can as we can, and slowing down to grab an orange out of the fridge and savor the Christmas orange. It's a special thing. There's these special moments in our life, and this can be a time of year that we can anchor in, especially if we're not doing well. So getting slow, getting reasonable, doing what we can as we can. I'm a big advocate for this. One of the easiest ways, number 8, to cool down a hot brain. One of the fastest ways, crying we talked about is helpful. Cardio, we know that's helpful. Prayer and meditation. So however that works for you, however you get prayerful and mindful, this is why the radio station plays Christmas music, because it's prayerful and meditative for so many of us. So get prayerful, get meditative, get quiet, working on your bedtime routine, go to bed 10 minutes early, and just kind of lay there and linger and think about Christmas's past, think about this Christmas present, and think about Christmas's future. You don't have to do a perfect job. I told you guys my Advent strategy. I've been doing it, and I have kind of been doing a shitty job of it, but I've been doing it, which is something. So nobody's doing it perfect out there, and if they seem to be, well, good for them. But I talk to people all day long, and I know myself that we're all just doing the best we can with what we got. So getting slow and prayerful and trying to find our anchor in again. We're all in the same heart of love. Burl Lives. That's it. Burl Lives. Get some Burl Lives in your life. You know, the good old Christmas music. And if you watched like Rudolph and you watched, what was some of those? St. Nicholas or whatever. There's like the Santa one, and then there's Rudolph, but Burl Lives, all of his good music. Spotify, Burl Lives Christmas, and let your heart sink into Christmas past. I find for me that Burl Lives is a way to sink into some meditation and prayerfulness, and also people who I admire their faith and spirituality and how they really instilled in me the meaning of Christmas, like my grandmother and her Christmas orange. I can think of watching Rudolph in her little living room in her tiny apartment when I was a child, and it wasn't about anything fancy because she didn't have a lot to give us. We don't have to be fancy. We can Burl Lives. So Burl Lives, some of those good old Christmas movies, whatever is helpful for you. I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Should I admit that? I don't know. But lots of Christmas memories with that movie. And it was nice to connect into some of those things. Irreverent, inappropriate, and I don't know what cancel culture will think about National Lampoons, but I did it. I laughed. Light looking. Not an expensive thing to do. Pour some hot chocolate in your travel mug, grab a Starbucks or a Timmy's, and hop in the car with the kids and just go around the neighborhood, or go to Candy Cane Lane. You can go to like the Speedway to the big Christmas lights. Christmas lights, something simple, something easy. My neighborhood, I really appreciate. Driving home from work last night, and I'm looking at all the little lights out there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so thankful for the people who took the 20 minutes or an hour that they did to like put something out, because it helped me last night. I felt good seeing those Christmas lights. Again, that's another thing. However you can build into the community, because we're all in this together. Xmas concerting, so Christmas concerting, mass, church, whatever it is. Like, get into some of those Christmas things. There's a lot of free things out there. If you see a Christmas concert is happening, more than likely you can just pop in. You know, most of them, it's just like it's for the community. So you see something going on, join. Look online. Lots of the churches and the faith centers, if they have something going on for Christmas or around the season, solstice as well, you can find all sorts of things online. And it's nice to go to candlelight service. It's nice to be there with all these people, whether you believe in religion, whether you think spirituality matters, the collectiveness of coming together and singing some carols that you'll know. So please, if you're running these things, sing some classic like carols that people know. It's so frustrating when you go to one of these things, they're singing something like brand new that nobody knows, and then it's like, no, like, where's our community? Let's come together and sing some songs. You could go caroling too. That's a great thing. People don't carol enough anymore. I've done that when I was younger. Maybe when my kids are older, I might do that with them. And then prioritize your priorities. That's number 10. Prioritize your priorities. What are my priorities this Christmas? Have you actually, here's my thing, take a meeting with yourself. Have you actually had a meeting with yourself to prioritize your priorities? What are your priorities this Christmas? What are those things? We don't have energy to do everything. If we're not really doing great, if we're sad, heartbroken, if we're being bullied, if something really sad is going on, or just we're overwhelmed, or we're being realistic. If we're just being realistic, how do we prioritize our priorities? So with all these different things, hopefully something is going to stick and you're like, oh, wow, that might be something I can do. Hopefully you feel a bit more normalized if you're not doing well. And if you're not doing well, please do reach out to your mental health provider and do it sooner rather than later, because a lot of us in private practice shut down our offices for a week. If you cannot access your mental health provider, 211, go to the emergency room, check in with your medical doctor. But 211 in Alberta, you can call them and they'll point you in the right direction. And prioritizing your priorities, there's only one of you, so take care of you. This season is for each one of us, as if there's only one of us, to paraphrase C.S. Lewis. Even if it was just you, this time of year would be here just for you. And we're all worthy of love and honor and enjoyment. So whatever works for you, great. Hopefully something here is helpful. And peace and love and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Burl lives. Burl lives.